Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. We are back again and talk about cricket. Yeah, it's been an enthralling week for cricket, of course. And if you're an Indian fan, India has won a very important series versus England. They have absolutely nailed it with their bowling performance. Won the series 2-1. Some big positives and some big takeaways. And some big calls also have to be made by Indian team now because some senior players haven't been turning up and performing as one would expect them to. And also, when we talk about the other end of the spectrum, in Sri Lanka has been doing really well. They won the test match against Australia. They're in a dominant position against Pakistan with a lead of 333 runs. It was fantastic batting by Babar Azam to take Pakistan very close. And though they were trailing just by 4 runs, but now Dinesh Chandimal once again, with the bat has been exuberant and taking the lead to 333. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day for Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. But let's get back to India versus England first up. Welcome Sandipani on the show. Let's talk about it because what a series it was, right, for Indian team, especially the one-day series. To start off with, getting England all out for 110 in the first match, Bumrah's magical spell. Then losing at Lords, which India should have ideally won that, but India couldn't just manage to do that. And in the third game, it was Rishabh Pant masterclass. No, that was one of the best knocks under pressure by an Indian middle-order batsman in a very long time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once India won their first game with an Indian bowler picking up a six-wicket haul, and the second game they lost it, I was sort of afraid that they will end up in the downward spiral like they did in the 2018 in the last ODI series in England.
Yeah.
So we saw Kuldeep Yadav pick up a six-wicket haul in the first game, which they
Yes.
won, and then again suddenly all of a sudden they were not being able to put up scores in the second and third game, and they lost. But really good to see, and it was a very tricky chase. Yeah, the pitch was not doing too much in the third ODI. I mean,
Yeah.
260, India would have been very happy to restrict England under 260. And let's talk about the Indian bowling. I mean, this was I think the seventh consecutive game where they have dismissed their opposition within 50 overs. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think like after the 2019 World Cup, in the 23 or 24 games, they have done this in 12 of the instances, and in the
But
last seven games they have
I
done it.
think that's a very wrong stat as well for some reason because the stats do speak a lot of volume. But then in that 23-24 occasions, India have lost most of their games as well. So
No, but
it's
you
it's a
have to
mixed
take into
stat.
account how much runs the opposition is scoring, right? But anyway, even if a team is going really strong and getting dismissed in the 35th, 36th over after scoring 210, 220, you have to have that added advantage, somewhere that they missed the opportunities to score of 90 balls. Like in the
Absolutely.
in the last game, England would have probably added another at least 15, 20 runs, if not more, if they would have managed to play out the remaining of the quota of the 4 overs. But they decided to take on Chahal, which was a very interesting call from Rohit Sharma to
Yeah.
keep on persisting with Chahal at the back end.
Right.
So yeah,
I would say that's a very good analogy by yourself because you spoke about the 12 occasions in which India dismissed an opposition, within 50 overs and picking up those 10 wickets. And picking up wickets is one of the most important part of 50 overs format as well. But
yeah,
now looking at it, what do you see? Because this cycle after 2019 World Cup hasn't really been good for India because we lost in New Zealand, we lost in South Africa, Australia, and one in England, of course. And it was a very good English side. One could say the bowling attack was not the best, but then the main reason why India won over here is that Indian bowling did really well against a
yeah,
strong England
definitely.
batting, and they had their batting almost covered. Almost every player were playing, likes of Ben Stokes, likes of Johnny Bairstow, Moeen Ali, Liam Livingston, Josh Butler. Everybody were in the team, so there is no
Yeah.
complaint about that. Their batting attack was
Yeah,
not
it
the
was a
full
very
strength.
strong England lineup. When you
Yeah,
see somebody like a Liam Livingston or a Moeen Ali coming in at number seven, these players
yeah,
they dominate the NatWest T20 Championship. I mean, Moeen Ali
yeah,
comes to bat at number three, Liam Livingston comes at number four for their respective sides, and
yeah.
Moeen Ali is a very underrated batsman if you ask me. With him
Right.
coming in at number six, number seven is a very good advantage for England. But having said that, I think this time around this series definitely belong to the Indian all-rounders. If you
Yeah,
can compare the two all-rounder units, I think Ben Stokes and Moeen Ali were a bit of a letdown. I mean, Moeen Ali
yeah,
did his best, but Ben Stokes was definitely let down.
yeah,
And when you talk about the Indian side of it, Ravindra Jadeja contributed with both bat, ball, and in the field.
yeah.
Which we expect pretty much from Ravindra Jadeja, but the surprise element was once again Hardik Pandya. What a story it has
Absolutely,
been! So right
absolutely.
since the IPL, he has come in. man of the series in the ODI. It is a big achievement, and I I think it was a bit unfair. I mean, I would have given the man of the match to Hardik Pandya, even though
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant played
absolutely.
one of the
Four
best
wickets and
knocks.
70 odd runs. I mean, that's
Yeah, yeah,
as good all-round
definitely.
performance as you can get. I know once you score 100 under pressure, it definitely looks good. But 4 wickets and 70 runs
Even Hardik Pandya
is
scored
the
that
most
71
complete
runs under
performance.
huge pressure. I mean, they had
Absolutely,
lost
there's no
four
doubt
of the
about it.
wickets and only Ravindra Jadeja and the tailenders to follow. If you think of
Absolutely.
it, India did not have pretty strong batting. Like somebody like a Mohammad Shami coming in at number 8 does not do their side justice. I mean, the
Yeah.
tail end they have a huge like
But
long tail
then
coming in.
that's where you also ask, who do you play at number 8? Can you go back to Shardul Thakur? Then your bowling becomes slightly inefficient or it becomes slightly on the
Yeah, I
weaker
mean,
side.
it's
That's
a
why,
risk they have to take. They have to
yeah, this is
take
a risk
like
they have to take, and you have to
yeah.
back your batters. And Hardik Pandya is as good a batter as anybody in the world when it comes to all-round
Definitely,
department.
definitely. I
And he has
mean, Dhoni
at least
showed a
scored
lot of
a
faith in him early on
yeah,
in his career, and even Kohli backed him to come in at number 4, number
yeah,
5. We were
yeah.
really perplexed when he used to come in at number 4 in the Australian series, but I think he has certainly
No,
justified.
he's got the talent. There was no question about the talent. It was about him executing the
Definitely.
talent into perfection and making use
Yeah,
of the talent, as one would say. But finally, it's good to see that he's coming back to his own. He's in his prime of his career. 28, 29 is that age in your career where you're going to hit the prime, and he's absolutely hit the prime at the right time. He's faced this downfall more than any other cricketer in this current Indian team. He's gone through a lot as a player, as in off the field scandals, injury wise, and to come back out of all of those things, make your IPL team to win a trophy. Now coming back to the Indian one day setup and ball is hard out. Yeah, it was a lion-hearted effort from Hardik Pandya to put that up right there. And also, just to point out, when we speak about his counterpart in Ben Stokes, he's announced his retirement from one day internationals. Let's talk about that, because we have to talk about English players as well over here. So
yeah,
how do you see that announcement coming? Were you a little taken aback, because he was a fulcrum? He was the fulcrum of the English team. If you look in the white ball format, the man behind the World Cup win for England, the man who's been excellent for England in the last 3 to 4 years. He has come off his own, and this series, maybe you could see that he was not quite enjoying the white ball cricket, because there was a lot of
yeah.
pressure in the Test cricket. And once you take up the captaincy in English red ball cricket, the eyes are going to be on you throughout. And
And the way they
how do
have
you see that
started, I
retirement
mean,
coming?
the eyeballs that England team is receiving right now, there's a whole new talk about baseball right now after
Yeah,
just 4 games. So really have to feel, you have to feel for Ben Stokes. You have to understand the pressure that he's going through. I mean,
yeah,
one failure will certainly, the hype that has been created. I think it's really difficult to sort of keep that momentum going for a long
yeah,
time, and it definitely builds a lot of pressure. And we have seen that Ben Stokes over the years have had some issues with his mental health, which is a very important topic that most of
yeah,
sportsmen, they sort of don't understand, or they don't give that much importance to the mental side of it, mental peace, or
yeah,
the mental
absolutely, truly.
effect of the game. But definitely that had been playing for a lot of years now, and I think it's a good call if he is okay, if he decides that okay, I'll put all my effort in the red ball cricket, I'll achieve different heights for the England team, I'll revive
Yeah.
them. I think it's a sensible call.
I mean, yeah, of course. The workload of cricket also these players are going through is quite a lot. If you look at the FTP, the future tour plan, a lot of teams are going to play a hell lot of cricket in the next 5 years. Close to 40 test matches, 50 plus one days, 40 plus T20s. So it's going to take a toll on you if you have to stay relevant in all three formats. And if you're a captain of one of the formats, it's going to be added pressure on you. It's like an added responsibility what you have, and to manage all of these, and especially if you're a fast bowling all rounder, it's really tough. And it's a clear indication of these workload taking a toll on these players who have been sustaining for the longest period of time. And I don't mind this call from Ben Stokes. I think it's only going to make him a better player in test format.
Yeah,
And with the T20 World Cup around the corner, they would want him at his absolute best in the T20 World Cup. And in one day cricket as well, you want to look beyond Ben Stokes. I know he's very young. It's not that he's in the wrong side of 30s. He's
yeah,
very young. He's just in the early 30s, and he's just peaking. Also, one would say, because he's played some great knocks that you always felt that he was there for the longest period of time. The one knock which
Yeah,
comes into
I
my
mean, he
mind is the
has been there
2019 final.
for the last 9, 8, 9 years. So it's been
Yeah,
a long time, and we have seen Ben Stokes evolve from a bowling all rounder, or you can say a bowler tail ender coming in at number 8, number 9, with
yeah,
the bat contributing in the late order, and majorly contributing with the ball, to the
yeah,
transformation that he has done, and now he's a
right.
predominantly batting all rounder, as one might say.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we have seen that transformation, and what a transformation! He has been a very important integral part of the England team, and he's still a very important part of the England Test team. He's the captain,
Yeah,
the most important, one might say, the most important part of the team.
yeah,
And yeah, so I mean, yeah, we have seen him grow over the years, and he has done achieved a tremendous feat for England. But I think now, again, we'll have to sort of see a new phase of transformation in the England white ball cricket, because
yeah,
suddenly
absolutely.
Morgan is gone, Ben Stokes is
And Stokes
gone,
is gone.
so you have to really reshuffle that middle order.
I mean,
But
that's
the
what
prospects look
you
really
have to
bright.
also expect right now with World Cup. Just 1 year before the World Cup, I'm
Yeah,
talking about the 1 day World Cup. Just 1 year before the 1 day World Cup, these transitions can take a lot of time because it's two huge roles to fill, especially the likes of Ben Stokes. He's a very rare commodity in world cricket. Let's not talk about English cricket. It's a rare commodity in world cricket. Now you're talking about Hardik Pandya, and why people rave about Hardik Pandya so much is that there's no talent like Hardik Pandya in India right now. You talk, we have brought in fast bowling all rounders like Stuart Binney, Venkatesh Iyer. If I remember, for a brief period of time, we also invested in Shivam Dubey to see how they go about. But they've never been able to achieve that potential. They never showed that the talent or that kind of skill which Hardik Pandya has got, or they never showed it, or they're never able to take that role up in that
I mean, the
perfect
hype that they
player like Ben
create,
Stokes or Hardik Pandya.
not they create. I mean, the hype that we create for them with some initial performances. I think that puts a lot of pressure on them, and
No,
it is really
I think it's
difficult
more
to.
than it's to do a lot with talent. It's to do a lot of
Yeah,
talent because when you talk about someone like Hardik Pandya, what he brings to the table is something which no other player would possibly bring in the country. Same thing with Ben
definitely.
Stokes. The kind of ability they've got to change the match both with the bat and ball, and also on the field, that is what you need in a fast bowling all
I
round
mean,
or in
that
an all
catch of
rounder.
Hardik Pandya. I mean, the game could have gone either way if
Yeah,
Jadeja would have like sort of been dismissed cheaply, and Rishabh
yeah,
Pant, we know how he plays. He would have played the same way if he would have
yeah,
sort of that stroke when he was on 97. He just tried to pull the ball, and he was, I guess he was just lucky that the ball just went over David Will's head over
yeah,
mid on. And he could come back for those 2 runs. I think
yeah.
he had some luck. Pant definitely had some luck. The missed
I mean, he
stumping
definitely
opportunity when
deserved
he
some
was
luck
just
as
on
well
80.
because he was getting out in 90s for the longest period of time. I think he's got some 8 scores of 90s in the test cricket. Now, if you add those 90s or convert them into hundreds, oh, imagine he would have had
Yeah,
10 plus hundreds by now. And that's the kind of no, he's an
definitely.
impact player, and that's why you want him in your team at all time. Okay, we've got some question because every time we do live, Virat Kohli is the point of discussion, and we can't look beyond Virat Kohli. Is it? Teju will come to you. Before that, let's talk about Ben Stokes and Hardik Pandya also because Hardik Pandya for me isn't that point of staying in the Indian cricket. I think he's the future captain of the Indian team as well. There's no reason why you shouldn't be believing that why he can't be the Indian team captain because I think he ticks all the boxes to be a very good captain. I think whole season of IPL really shows and tests character of you as a captain. Initially, one would have said, okay, let's see Hardik how he goes about, but to lead the team to an IPL victory, then also manage things really well in Ireland. And also, he's also taking leadership responsibility within the Indian team, also in the current white ball format. Even though there is
Yeah.
Virat Kohli, even though there's Rohit Sharma, you could see he's bringing the leadership traits into this Indian white ball setup.
And
He's
most
going out there
importantly,
talking
he
to
has
ballers.
been performing. If a leader, integral member of your team is consistently giving you those performances both with bat, ball, and in the field, that will definitely bolster the team spirits, and definitely
Absolutely.
it will sort of rejuvenate the energy. Like, even if you're
I mean,
losing,
we've
if you're
seen
continuously.
a lot
Yeah.
of times that Hardik Pandya as a player, we've questioned him, we've questioned his talent, we've questioned whether uh, is he really committed to the team? Is he
No,
going
no,
to take the
definitely
game
we
to
have
the
seen a
streets?
different
But
Hardik Pandya. You have to say the we used to question that Hardik Pandya who used to come in and play sort of like Rishabh Pant. That
yeah.
one dimension, right? Whatever the situation may be, I'll
Yeah,
just go for
I
it.
always thought that someone like Hardik Pandya, being I've seen him at batting at number 4, right, for India,
Yeah,
for a brief period of time, especially in the Australian series in 2017, where he was given that role. He used to come in as a floater. come in at number 4, take the ballers on. So you know the talent he's got. You've seen that in the Champions Trophy final. You've seen that in the Australian series yet again. Where he's the Australian season 2020, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah, 1920. Yeah,
right
I
after
guess.
COVID when India traveled to Australia, where he was playing some incredible knocks batting
Incredible
at
knock.
number
Yeah.
6 in Australian conditions. So you always knew that he's got the talent. He's got a good head on his
I
shoulder. It
think
was about him taking the
most
game to the next level.
importantly, what Hardik Pandya has done is definitely the game has improved, but more importantly, he has matured as a cricketer. I
Yeah,
think this Hardik Pandya, he knows the situations, he plays according to the situation.
yeah,
Yesterday he knew that okay, another wicket now, and Jadeja would come in, but he
yeah,
also knew that India had lost a similar game in their last one. Like they had
yeah,
lost four early wickets, and then sort of in the order in order to stabilize the innings, they had lost track of the required rate, and suddenly the pressure was on, and they could not catch up to the like required rate. But yesterday
yeah,
he played that counter attacking game, and he had Rishabh Pant alongside, who was playing the more sensible knock. If you see, Rishabh Pant
yeah,
yesterday scored his half century in I think 70, 72, 73 balls, which is very uncharacteristic from a player like Rishabh Pant. At the end
yeah,
of the day, he had 125 of 113 more sort of the Rishabh Pant that we know. But
yeah,
he got his 50 in 72, 73 balls because Hardik Pandya was going so strong at the other end, rotating the strike,
yeah,
getting
absolutely.
those boundaries here and there. And I think it was a beautiful partnership. I think that
I mean,
partnership was the difference
I'd
between the
also
two
like to
teams.
know your opinion on Rishabh Pant batting at number 4 in one-day cricket because there have been mixed debate about it. Do you see him to be the future number 4? Him actually settling that debate on number 4? It's been the longest ever debate in Indian cricket history. Who's going to bat at number 4 in the Indian team? Do you see him batting at number 4, KL Rahul at number 5 in the future?
Yeah, I think KL Rahul at number 5 did a very good job for Team India in the 2019 World Cup early on before he was asked to open because Dhawan became injured. I think right from then KL Rahul is a sort of a player who can fit in the role, whatever role you give him, he'll try to do his best, and he has had some very good. We know that KL Rahul at the top is at his best, but even in the middle order, at coming in at number 5, number 6, stabilizing the innings at the end, giving India that momentum, the sort of booster that they need at the right at the end of the innings. KL Rahul has been providing that for the team, and I think Rishabh Pant is a very good player for India at number 4 because he has been playing at number 4 for Delhi Capitals for a long time now. This is not not just for the last 1 or 2 years. I think he has been playing at number 4 for Delhi
Yeah,
Capitals since 2018, if I'm not
I
wrong,
have
18.
absolutely.
And he has fit in that role beautifully. And because we know once Rishabh Pant is set, he can take on any bowler and he'll play all those sweeps and reverse sweeps of fast bowlers, which will just take them off guard. And
No,
I
it's
think that,
also it's also another point that he's a left-hander who comes right in at number 4. It
yeah,
also
definitely
adds to
that will,
variety, right?
yeah, definitely if you have two left-handers in your top four, I think
Yeah.
it's an added advantage
It's an
because you
added
have Jadeja
advantage
at
as well.
the end. Yeah,
And
you have
KL Rahul
Jadeja at
has
number
been
7.
outstanding batting at number 5 for India because he's
Yeah,
played some. I think in the 15 innings, he scored at least 850 plus scores, including a century, including 2 centuries, if I'm not wrong. And that's an
yeah.
excellent stat to have. And you know the talent which KL Rahul possesses because he can take the spinners on, he can take the pacers on, and he's a 360-degree player. I think him, Rishabh Pant, and Hardik Pandya will form a formidable middle order, and including Jadeja in the lower middle order, it's going to be a very strong Indian middle order going into the
But then
World
again,
Cup of
the
2023.
position, the batting positions, the batting slots for Team India in the upcoming 2023 World Cup, Cricket World Cup, the ODI World
Yeah,
Cup, that
yeah.
is going to be very tricky because we are talking about KL Rahul. There is also players like Surya Kumar Yadav
I think
just behind
Surya
the
Kumar
ranks.
Yadav won't make it to my starting 11 for the 2023 World Cup because, see, he is a very good player in T20 cricket. He's done nothing
Yeah,
wrong there. But, KL Rahul, you have to give him all respect. I know
yeah, definitely you
he's
have
been
to give
receiving a
KL
lot of
Rahul the
flack when
chance.
it comes to his batting in T20 cricket, him opening the batting, him not being able to perform. But in one-day cricket, he's not put a foot wrong since he's been asked to bat at number 5. And
But
I think he'll need that stability.
since you mentioned KL Rahul in the middle order, I have a very interesting stat for you. I
Yeah.
was just checking the last ODI
Please.
hundreds for Virat Kohli. We all know Kohli
Yeah.
has been like making the rounds, the buzz that the last century that he scored was on no, I think when August 2019 in
Yeah.
ODIs.
Against West Indies,
But
yes.
yeah, against West Indies. But Shikhar Dhawan scored his last ODI century in June 2019
Wow.
against Australia.
The
He
World
had
Cup match.
in that World Cup, yeah, the one in the World Cup. After
And Rohit
that,
Sharma
Dhawan
scored
has
his last
not.
century in 2021. He's not yet scored a century as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
and no,
top
no, yeah.
three
Rohit
is
Sharma scored his
alarming.
last ODI century not in 2021 but in 2020, right before the
Oh,
COVID hit us, January
wow.
2020.
So
So
it's been a long,
we
long
have
time,
had
guys.
89 ODI. Like these three players have 89 ODI turns between them, but in their last 74 innings combined, the three players have not scored a century in ODI cricket, which
Ooh.
is a huge concern. Top three not
It
scoring a
is.
century for 74 innings.
It is just a reverse card effect. I know. I remember leading into the 2019 World Cup, we were like, "Wow, middle order is very bad. Top three scoring bulk of runs," and now you're like, "Our top three is not
Yeah,
scoring the bulk of
top
runs,
three is scoring runs, but they're not scoring the big runs. They're not going
not
on to
scoring the
score
big runs,"
centuries. Yeah.
and it is concerning, right? And the World Cup is going to be in India. It's your home ground. You're going to be having all the pressure on you.
Oh,
It's
you're
never
going to
easy to
have a
win a
lot of pressure. Yeah.
it's never easy to win a World Cup at home. Whatever people might say, the advantage, the pressure at home is second to none because the kind of uh, expectation you have to go through everywhere you
Especially
go,
because
every
the
hotel you
trend
go,
has
people
been,
are going to be
yeah.
behind you.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially because the trend had been started by India right from
Yes.
2011. Before 2011, we had no teams that had won their like home World Cup, World Cup
Yeah.
when they were playing at their homes. But
Yeah.
India started it in 2011. Then we had Australia in 2015. We had England in 2019, and now the entire pressure is
And
on India to repeat
fingers
it in
crossed that India in
2023.
2023 again. So the trend
Yeah,
continues. But yeah, of course, when you play at home, it brings in certain bit of advantage. That's an advantage which you can't deny about because you know your conditions better than anybody. But then it's also a lot of pressure. And especially in a country like India, it would be an added pressure compared to England or Australia because media is going to be behind you. Not just the media, the people, the expectation from the hotel staff every time you travel to hotels, every time you go to grounds, everybody want you to win. So that pressure is something which is second to none. If you have read some anecdotes from the 2011 World Cup, these players have come out saying that the pressure what they went through, especially before the semi-final against Pakistan, the Australian quarterfinal was like they were literally in a pressure cooker and they couldn't even breathe. And they at some stages, some players even felt like throwing up because of the pressure which got to them. So there's some
yeah.
interesting stories on that, and I think it's going to be the same way because a World Cup in India is always going to be massive for everybody, for every player who's going to play the World Cup. But let's talk about
And
Virat
for
Kohli has
some senior players like Rohit
actually
Sharma,
got the
Virat
question
Kohli, I think
already.
this will be the, yeah. For some senior players like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, I it is controversial, but I think this is going to be their last chance at a World Cup win
Yeah,
because frankly, I don't see them playing at 2027. Kohli, Rohit Sharma, the amount of fatigue that they are going through right now,
yeah.
I don't think that they'll be able to
And I
keep
don't
at
think
it
they will
for the
as
next
well.
five
With
years.
the kind of a team they've got, the future, and looking at the future in hand, I think there are a lot of young crop of players who are already
And
ready in
Rohit
the
Sharma
season.
will be so eager to win that World Cup. That is the one trophy that he does not have.
He's not one.
I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
yeah,
And he was
Piyush
dropped out of
Chawla
the 2011
was
World
picked.
Cup
Yeah,
squad, if you remember.
Piyush Chawla was picked ahead of him in the last moment in the 2011 World Cup, and
Yeah.
yeah, he'll be really disappointed that he did
I
not
think he
get to
was
win it. Then.
replaced for Yuvraj Singh, and Yuvraj Singh went on to have a great World Cup, so you can't
Yeah,
blame
definitely.
there. So you don't blame that because after all, you
No,
won
no,
the
no,
World Cup, right?
definitely not.
There's no second
Oh, we want a
thought
World
about
Cup
it.
anyway. Like no matter who gets it for us, just
Yeah,
get it
yeah.
for
We
us.
want a World Cup. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter who gets it. You want a World Cup because that's what will define you as a team. You just have two World Cups, though you have a great history, rich history in cricket. You just have two World Cups, and you want to
yeah.
compete with the likes of Australia, with the likes of England. Also has been very good. They've already won a World Cup,
I
though.
think Pakistan is slowly starting to become the team to beat because
Yeah, I think
I mean
Pakistan
they're
is
not.
going to be a tough team to beat in
Yeah,
Asian conditions, of course. And
yeah,
with the likes of Shaheen Afridi, Babar Azam, Rizwan, they're going to be a tough team to beat, and it's going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure India and Pakistan will be in the same group once again, so expect something from that end as well. But let's talk
yeah.
about this. Virat Kohli's technique. He's a bottom-handed player. His hand-eye coordination has been slowing down. He's the biggest elephant in the room. I know where you're getting this point from. I know exactly where this debate was discussed. I saw the debate. I think
Okay,
Virat
first
Kohli.
of all, just before we start that debate, I just want to tell you Virat Kohli scored 33 runs in 2 innings. Joe Root scored 11 runs in 3 innings. Okay,
Uh,
with two
okay,
ducks.
let's not talk about Joe Root because Virat Kohli's issue has been a persistent one. Joe Root has been scoring in
Yeah,
Test cricket. So now the question is technique, right? Let's address that first. Virat Kohli's hand-eye coordination has never been an issue for him. His issue right now, we discussed it earlier. It's his inability to go to the back foot and play some of the balls. He's been staying or pressing really hard on the front foot for the balls which are actually a little short. So once it bounces a little hard on you, you are going to nick it to the keeper or the slips. So that's been happening with Virat Kohli. If you look at the
And
dismissal in
if
the
you ask me, he
fourth
has
innings,
looked really good at the start of the innings. I mean, not the third ODI. Third ODI, okay, David Willie gave him some
absolutely.
loose
And,
deliveries
and
down
let me
the
tell you
leg side.
something, Teju, as
Yeah,
well. If your hand-eye coordination is really weakened, you will get out bowled more than even getting out caught. So
yeah.
that's another thing. You've seen that with some of the great players. If you look at Tendulkar towards the latter half of his career, Dravid towards the latter half of his career as well. He was getting out bowled more often than getting out in the slip. So that means you're late on the ball. Virat Kohli is not being late on the ball. So that's one thing. If you still look at Virat Kohli, he's getting well behind the ball. His back and across movement is spot on there. He's right behind, so the pace has not been an issue for him. Neither has been the ball missing out. So hand-eye
If you
coordination
just talk about the
and
hand-eye
reflex.
coordination, I think the best players from India has been definitely, if not the best, I think one of the best has been Virendra Sehwag. I think Virendra Sehwag and Saurav Ganguly, these two players, the hand-eye coordination that they had, I think
Yeah.
that was tremendous.
Now I would say Rishabh Pant has great hand-eye coordination as well. So
Definitely.
and Virat Kohli has always been not a player who he's always been working hard on his technique, want to be the perfect in the way he plays. Unlike someone like Rishabh Pant or Virender Sehwag, who were stand and deliver kind of a player. Just they don't focus much on the technique, but reflexes part. See, I don't think it is a reflexes yet. Again, I'm telling you, the issue with Virat Kohli right now is his inability to play on the back
He
foot.
just gets tentative and just moves onto the line of the ball too quickly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
some of the
And
dismissals.
one thing Virat Kohli should also understand is that if he wants to flash hard rather than being tentative and putting the bat out there. So look at his dismissal. It's been those dismissal where he's poking outside the off stump and getting out to left arm paces, angling it away from him. So no, it can be corrected. Maybe he needs to work a little bit hard on the nets. Just focus on that angle. Just see where he has to get behind the line of the ball, where he has to actually leave the ball and not to play at it. But you can't leave a lot of balls in one-day cricket as well, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think he should
And
just work a little harder on his back foot game. Once he sorts that out, once he develops a back foot defense and also that cut of the back foot or maybe a square drive. I think if he
and
can
he
develop a square
definitely
drive,
has to improve his back foot game if he has to make an impact in Australia. I mean,
yeah.
we all
So
know
I
that
don't
Virat
think
Kohli has
Virat Kohli has ever been troubled in Australia. And you talk
never,
about
never,
Virat
because
Kohli,
he
he's
has
been
a
so
strong back foot
successful.
game. Over the years, we have
Yes,
seen,
he's got terrific back foot game, especially when it comes to the leg side. But
yeah,
to the
pulling the
square and
ball
the
and hooking the
offside,
ball.
he's
Yeah,
never been the best. He's
definitely.
never had
Yeah,
a cut shot. He's
we know
never had
Virat
a
Kohli for his cover drive, not for his square drive.
never not for
Definitely.
a square drive. So I think Virat Kohli should focus more on the square drive. You've seen that with some excellent players over the years in the prior generations. Likes of Gundappa Vishwanath is one player who comes into my mind when it comes to playing the square drive. I think there's nobody who plays the square drive better than him.
Saurav Ganguly used to penetrate the
Ganguly plays the
offside
square
like
drive really well.
what? Yeah,
Dravid used to play the square drive pretty well. I think if you have to succeed, or if you want to really, do not want to really get onto the back foot and cut the ball, and you don't want to get edge it, play a square drive because you are playing it with a horizontal bat. And once you play the horizontal bat, the chances of you nicking the ball becomes very minimal because whatever happens, not going to be nicking the ball. You're going to be flattening it out. You're going to be cutting it through the point or backward point. So I think one shot which Virat Kohli should have in his armory is the square drive. And I think if he gets that shot in the armory, it's going to definitely solve a lot of problems to him, or at least a cut shot on the back foot as well. So
yeah.
these are two things I think Virat Kohli should
I
really
mean,
work
there
on.
has been two major issues for Virat Kohli. One is the ball that he nicks outside the off stump,
Yeah.
and another problem is for the right-handers that the ball that comes in, like they just set
I
it
don't
up
think the
for
ball
him.
that comes in has been ever troubling him. It's been one of
Yeah,
those
it has troubled him
instances.
over the years in
I mean,
in Test cricket especially.
I think Virat Kohli gets out to balls coming in when he thinks about balls nicking him. So
Yeah,
it,
definitely.
it is
Yeah,
it is
that
actually
has been playing on
proportional
the
to
back
the
of his mind,
dismissal.
of course. Yeah,
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. So I think right now what we find, or what is our analogy, because there's been a debate in some of the channels which I've also come across that Virat Kohli's hand-eye coordination reflexes are really slowing down, but I don't think that's the
I
case
don't think
because
so. Yeah, I definitely
I
don't
don't
agree
think,
with this.
because if you have played cricket at any level, when a batsman is getting right behind the
And
ball,
Kohli is
when a
just
batsman is
33, 34. I mean, if he is still probably in the prime, he should be
and
in the prime of
yeah,
his
I would
career.
have said that thing if he was getting out balled more often than not, but that's not the case. And if you have played cricket at some stage, and if some of the batters, once they are right behind the ball, they're not troubled by pace, and they're not troubled by they're not being late onto the ball. Virat Kohli has been not late onto the ball. He's been getting out in ways where he should be staying on the back foot, not on the front foot. So that's where I think you should develop a back foot game to the pacers. And also to spinners, I think he should try to come down the track and dominate spin as he used to do in 2017-16. That's been one of the areas which Virat Kohli has to improve. I think I don't think we are coaches
I
enough
mean,
to
that is the only problem with Virat Kohli. No, we spoke about this in the test match as well. Like, he is a batsman. Like, whenever we used to see Kohli bat in 2017, 18, 19, we never used to see any false stroke. Like, whenever any bowler used to come into ball, we used to think that Kohli would dominate him. But over the last 1 or 2 years, be it the off spinner in the form of Moeen Ali, or
yeah,
the leg spinner
yeah,
in the form of Adil Rashid, or
yeah.
a left arm fast bowler or a right arm fast bowler, Kohli has had some weak points in all of it. Like, the opposition has become more and more smarter over the years. They have analyzed a lot, and I think they have found a tad bit of weakness for Virat Kohli in all these sectors. So he has been
I
having
think it
issues.
also has to do a lot with the mental side of things. When you're not scoring runs, you get out
Definitely,
in the most
mental is
weirdest
a very,
form
yeah.
of ways. Because I think if an informed Kohli would have been there, he would have been converting those starts into mega hundreds, as we all know Virat Kohli to be doing. And
And
it's
that is why
unfortunate.
I am really disappointed he is not playing the West Indies series.
Yeah, I'm
I
also
mean,
very
at this point,
disappointed at that.
Kohli should
Maybe
definitely
in
should
one
play
way
the
or the
West
other,
Indies series.
you know, maybe one thing which we have to understand is maybe let him take a break, go to the basics, as one would say. There's nothing like going to the drawing board.
But
Some of
the
the
problem
greatest
is,
players
will
have
he
done
go
that.
to the basics? If he's taking a break and just chilling, spending a vacation, I don't think that
Maybe
is going
he
to
knows
help
better
too
than
much.
anybody else at this point. Maybe he should, he will be knowing better than anybody else in the world as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Whenever I remember when Tendulkar used to perform bad, there used to be like 1 billion experts who used to come up saying that Tendulkar should change his bat, Tendulkar should play this shot, Tendulkar should not play a cover drive. But they understand the game better than anybody else. I think we should leave it to them. And team has
Definitely.
been backing Virat Kohli, and if this is continuing, definitely he deserves to
And
get
I
a
think it's
national
all
award.
good as long as India wins. I mean, yeah, definitely the top three is a concern. You have to have your
There's an
best
interesting
three
point yet
batters in
again
your.
from Teju as to the left arm paces troubling India over the years. I mean, it is a major issue for India. If you look at Shaheen Afridi, Trent Bolt, Mohammad Amir, it's a long list of ballers. Mitchell Stark at times. The ballers who have the ability to swing the ball into the right handers, and also take the ball slightly away. And these ballers do trouble India quite a lot, especially left arm seamers. And Reece Topley is the latest into the addition as well. He's been troubling India
What a
quite a
fairy
lot.
tale! 9 wickets in 2 games in ODIs
So yeah,
is
that's
a spectacular achievement
a ball like
against a
Reece
team that
Topley used
has
to get ball.
Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and Dhawan as the top three batter.
I mean, that has been the case, right? Every time when these three fails against left arm pacer, India also fails. So
Yeah.
that has been a concern. Also with KL Rahul as well, he's also got an issue against left arm pacer. If you look historically, so India will have to sort that out. And India do not have a lot of left arm pacer. So in nets, I believe India should train heavily for a left arm pacer. Arshdeep
I
is a
mean,
good
they have
example.
a lot
Maybe,
of left-arm pacers who are in the nets. I think some of the recent additions have been Mohsin Khan.
yeah, I
There
think
have been
they
players
can
like
possibly
Natrajan.
train with them and see how things go. And
Yeah.
these one day series are just practice matches. You don't want to hype up yourself in the one day series and go lose the World Cup. So
Yeah.
it's all good as long as you're able to do well in the World Cup, because we've seen that in
But
the
I
previous
definitely feel
years
that
as well.
Kohli needs a very good series, like before the World Cup.
Yeah.
He has to get his confidence back. I mean, if you are playing this Kohli who is sort of underconfident, who is not trusting
I mean,
himself,
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
mind Virat Kohli going to Zimbabwe. Maybe the
yeah, I
best.
would love to see Virat Kohli going to Zimbabwe, getting 1 or 2 hundreds,
Yeah.
scoring some runs, at least scoring some runs and getting his
Yeah, go to
confidence back.
Zimbabwe, score some runs. The confidence level becomes. See, even if you score runs in a club match, runs under your belt is always runs under your belt.
Definitely.
And if it's international cricket against any opposition, just look at Deepak Hooda, right? He scored
Yeah.
runs against Ireland. The confidence when he came against England was just sky high. So that's
Took
what I'm trying to
Moeen Ali
say.
for 2 sixes
And
of
let's
his
not
first
let's
one
not
day debut.
disrespect Ireland. Ireland has been top now. Let's talk about them,
Oh
because
yeah,
they
they
just
have been
lost the
so
series by
unlucky, man. I
whisper.
definitely
I
wanted
mean,
Ireland to win one or
absolutely one
two.
of my favorite teams to watch in world cricket right now is Ireland. I love the team. Harry Tractor, Paul Sterling. Love the team because they bring some exuberance into world cricket. They play this exciting brand of cricket. I'm really
I
hoping
mean,
the
as we
T20 World
speak,
Cup they make
they,
it big.
they are currently. I think they are going to lose this one. The first T20I against New Zealand. I think they are
Yeah,
going to lose it by a much. But they had restricted New Zealand. Even today, they had restricted New Zealand for 30 for three at the end of 5 overs. But
yeah.
then we saw some good innings from
So that even
Phillips
against
and
India, when India posted 224 on the board, they were very close. They came very close for almost
and they
chasing
were
it.
so close to chasing down 360. I mean, that would have been the fifth highest successful run chase. They just lost by
Absolutely,
1 run. And I mean, they
absolutely.
looked on course. They just needed 8 or 9 of the last over. It was just the wickets that they did not have. And I think
Absolutely.
a bit more experience, at this level would have definitely helped them, and they wouldn't have squandered that game. And even the first game, I think first game they had New Zealand on the ropes.
Yeah,
Bracewell played one of the best innings, ODI innings in a long time against a
yeah,
not so superior bowling attack, you have to say.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Bracewell under pressure, New Zealand managed to score what, some 91 runs with two
yeah,
or three wickets left. They
yeah,
won with one ball to left, one ball to go, and Bracewell
yeah,
scored I think 120, 130 odd not out. I think that
yeah,
was one of the best innings of by a New Zealand cricketer in a long time, because especially because of the pressure that they were like facing. And if they would have lost to Ireland in that first game, I think the confidence would have definitely hampered them, and they wouldn't have been able to dominate Ireland in the second game. I think second game was a bit of a one-sided game, but
yeah.
first and third game it
I
went
mean,
down to the wire.
as we speak,
And
Ireland have been capitulated 142 and they've lost the game by close to 31 runs. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of positives to take from Ireland cricket and Irish cricket as well because a lot of players, Josh Little, Harry Tactor, Paul Sterling, these lads are forming a very good core who will be
and
doing
they
really well in
have
the
been
World
playing
Cup.
a lot of domestic cricket. If you ask, George Dockrell has been around the circuits for a long time.
Yeah,
Somebody like a Tector, Harry Tector has been getting a lot of runs. He has been
yeah,
scoring runs like a machine. Like against India, he scored two centuries against New Zealand in the three games.
yeah,
So they have been playing a lot of domestic cricket back in England. They have been playing
absolutely.
for a lot of sort of domestic sides in England, and players like Paul Sterling have played all across the globe. He
True.
plays T20 cricket all across the globe, and we know the danger that he possesses. I mean, he's a very feared cricketer, opener, according to me. So somebody like
Absolutely. I
a
think,
very underrated, somebody like a Mohammad Shahzad. What Shahzad
yeah.
used to do for Afghanistan, I think Paul Sterling does it twice as better
Yeah.
for Ireland.
And
And he
I think
has,
he
I think,
deserves an
10, 12
IPL
hundreds in.
contract as well. I
Yeah.
don't know why he's not been getting an IPL contract, and many players who I really think can't succeed
Yeah,
in
you can
IPL have been
only
getting
have
some
four
contracts
foreign
again and
players
again.
in one team. So, I mean,
I mean, you
just
look
the
at some of
40
the players
players.
this season, right, who got IPL contracts and they were fading continuously. And with the likes of Paul Sterling, Harry Tractor, I believe next season they might be in the radar. And even Hardik Pandya, I think even Gujarat might just take on someone like Harry Tractor to play in that Matthew Waits role. I mean, we'll come back to that later. Let's talk about Pakistan's team because Pakistan versus Sri Lanka has been a very exciting series there. Very exciting match to start out with because you know Pakistan were on the mat at the end of the second day where they were 97 for 8 odd. From there on, Babar Azam played one of the best knocks. The final wicket partnership with Naseem Shah was absolutely top class. Babar Azam proving why he's currently the world's best all format batter once again. He's been a role performing under pressure as a captain. This is what you want from your captain. I know Sri Lanka has got the dominant hand right now, but the fourth inning, let's just not write off Pakistan. Like so Babar Azam and Rizwan, if they go out there and play some of the knocks, they can
Yeah.
absolutely pull this off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both the teams, there is also Imamul Haq, who has been scoring a lot of runs in the last year or so, and there is Azhar Ali, who is a veteran right now,
Yeah,
veteran for Pakistan cricket over the year. He has built that reputation for him. But if you talk about both the teams, I think even Sri Lanka and Pakistan, both the teams lost their first eight wickets very
yeah,
cheaply for 120, 130 runs. Even Sri Lanka were eight down
yeah,
for 135, and
yeah,
then Dinesh Chandimal played that impressive 76 run knock that helped them to get to some total of respectability. Even Pakistan were 112 for 8. And then Babar Azam, the form that he is in, whatever he turns into gold, touches turns into gold. It's been that kind of year for Babar Azam. Rizwan was having this sort of a year last year. And even somebody like Imamul Haq. I mean, he has been scoring lots and lots of runs. It will
yeah.
be interesting to see how he plays in the fourth innings of a game.
I
It
mean,
is
I'm pretty
definitely going to be
pretty
challenging.
impressed with Sri Lankan team as well. The kind of comeback they've had the last couple of matches has been just top notch because I know they were on the mat after that first test match. 4 cases of COVID. I thought Australia were right on there, but to defeat Australia the way they did, now coming to this match with all the things happening off the field as well in that
Yeah,
country,
we
there was a lot of
mentioned
pressure
another
for them.
player. Yeah, in the Australian start at the start of the Australian series, we mentioned a couple of players from Sri Lanka who really needed to step up to keep their place. And I think like a lot of teams we have been discussing, like what Hardik Pandya is doing for India, a player like Kushal Mendis is doing that, playing that sort
Yeah,
of a role for Sri Lanka.
and not just that.
Had
Let's talk
been
about
Yeah,
Jay Surya. What a
yeah,
bowler! Took
definitely
the
three
three 5 wickets
fifers in
all
four
round.
innings, in the last three
Absolutely
innings. I
top
mean,
class. And I believe fourth innings is he's gonna possibly decide the match for Sri Lanka once again in the fourth innings.
definitely.
And I'm pretty sure a fifer is awaiting him. He's got that Akshar Patel like kind of a start for his test career as well because he's been on top form. He's been picking up wickets, and he's bowling with a lot of guile. Flighting the ball right, that drifting, getting that drift, especially in Gaul with the sea breeze. The ball just angles in and dips and turns. Just classic left arm spin bowling, and just troubled some great batsmen.
Definitely.
He's troubled the likes of Steve Smith, Manis Labuschagne, David Warner, Usman Khawaja. So I think he's a top bowler. And of course, you say some opportunities are just given to you when adversity
But
arises,
you
and
have
then
to
you
keep
can.
at it. I mean, you have to continue this sort of a performance, because we have seen a lot of spinners from Sri Lanka in the last, especially 1 or 2 years, players who have sort of started really well. Somebody like a Embuldenia or
Yeah,
Jaya Vikrama, they started off really well, but eventually after 2 or 3 games, even in the Asian subcontinent against classy opponents, they really
yeah,
struggle to pick up wickets.
true,
So it
true.
will be interesting. It's just 3 innings so far, but the promise that he has been showing it is immense. I mean, if he can
I mean, there's,
continue
there's nothing,
doing,
there's
like, yeah, replicating
nothing
his
to
performance is going to be
talk
great.
about that, because that's been just brilliant for him. Because picking up three, five first and four innings is just a wonderful stuff, and I believe that he's only going to get more and more confident going ahead. And also, let's talk about this question which we have before we end the live. Now we'll take some questions. Ashdeep Singh has been impressive with the ball. Yeah, I think that's a very fair point, because I feel this personally. It's just my personal thought. I think India need a death ball alongside Jasprit Bumrah. Mohammad Shami is not going to be a death ball, and neither is Prasidh Krishna. So I think Arshdeep Singh can still come into that Indian white ball setup, especially in the one day cricket format, the one day format, instead of maybe a Prasidh Krishna, because he offers a variety, and also
Yeah.
his ability to bowl up front and also in the death, also in the middle overs as well. He's going to be a very tight bowler to get away with, and I believe he can be deployed up front. The left arm spin, left arm issue. Many teams have got that issue, and he can take the ball
And
in
we
and
have
away.
been talking about Rajdeep Singh for a long time now. If Teju is a regular, he listens to us regularly. In the over the last 4 or 5 lives, we have mentioned Arshdeep Singh every time.
Yeah,
He has tremendous potential. He has done great things for Punjab Kings in the IPL.
yeah,
He did a fabulous job in the opportunities that he got in Ireland and England, and
yeah,
and definitely we'll see a lot of him over the years. And I think it's just good signs for India ahead. We have a lot of potential pacers who have a lot of potential,
yeah,
and yeah, I just think he'll, if given an opportunity, I think he'll go really well, because he has that potential. He bowls really well at the death overs. He is a bowler who can come in, bowl 2 or 3 overs for the T20 format that I'm talking about. He can bowl 2 or 3 overs up front, and rightly Abel pointed out, we definitely need a death over bowler along with Jasprit Bumrah. One might say we have Harshal Patel, but sometimes we have seen Harshal Patel be a bit one-dimensional with his slower deliveries, not trying to nail that Yorker. But if you talk about Arshdeep Singh, he has, whenever you see him in the death overs, he hardly depends on changes of pace. He believes in that orthodox nature. He just goes for that block hole length, and I think it is very important that the BCCI, they sort of nurture this sort of a talent, and they have been doing it. So hopefully it turns out good for them.
absolutely. And let's take up this question as well. Pakistan's bizarre selection, because I mean I was a little taken aback, but my kind of analogy for that is they might have thought to trouble Sri Lanka with pace bowling, because they are generally good players who spin, but going with three paces and one spinning bowling option on that pitch was just bad tactics from Babar
Yeah.
Azam. I mean I give Babar Azam the credit for the batter he is, but I've seen it in the last 6 7 months. He as a test captain has gone down really bad, I feel, especially in the Australian series, and even now. His selection has been very poor. The kind of captaincy he's also showing is very poor. I mean, I have to be very blunt. He's one of my favorite batters out there. But as a captain, his selection calls have
Pakistan
been
has
very
not
poor.
played England in a long time. I think if
And
they
they're playing in
play,
December. They're playing them in December.
yeah, I think that will be a team, because India and Pakistan are no longer, like, they are no longer playing bilateral series. Hopefully, we'll get to see some in the near future. Uh,
Absolutely.
but
I mean, it's been a
but
while we went to Sri Lanka, man. I mean, there was a time when we used to go to Sri Lanka every 2 weeks.
No, yeah, but yeah, there was COVID. Right before COVID, I think we went to Sri Lanka. I think in 2018, where Hardik Pandya scored that century in that test. Yeah, yeah, but it has been a long time, 2017 or 18. So it's been 4 or 5 years.
I
Uh,
mean, I remember this series in 2017. That's the last test series we played in Sri Lanka. That was a good one. And I know my favorite ever test series. I know you might say the Australian one, but that Sri Lankan test series of 2015. It was Sangakkara's last test series.
Yeah.
where India were 1-0 down in goal. Chandimal once again. Oh man, Chandimal is I love his redemption now. He's been just top notch. I always believed
Yeah,
he's
we
got the
have been
talent. I
definitely
remember he
seeing
played at
some 2.0
175.
from some
I
of
think
the
he
Sri
scored
Lankan players.
162 if I'm not wrong against India in that in that match,
Yeah.
where it took Sri Lanka from from the ruins to make them win. India, they were defending 175 in goal on the last day, and India capitulated 111. Oh man, that was one hell of a series, and it went to the last day of the last hour for India to win that Test series. Ishan Sharma's brilliance, Ashwin, that was just brilliant, man. Now we have another
And
question.
I would definitely want to see Kohli going to Sri Lanka and scoring some runs.
Oh, I mean, that was. I mean, when you go back to places you love, you tend to do well. Also,
Yeah,
Umran Malik is still raw, needs to work on line length. He should be dropped for now and let Ashleep. See, we always were
that's
clear
what we
on
have
our
been
thoughts.
seeing.
Umran Malik was always
Yeah.
raw. There were a lot of hype around him. I understand pace is pace, but then in modern cricket, pace is also runs. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely because Umran Malik, we were sort of backing Arshdeep Singh over Umran Malik for a long time now. We have been backing Arshdeep Singh, and I understand if you are trying to give Avesh Khan more opportunities ahead of Arshdeep Singh because he is a senior player. He has been proving, he has proved like he is a very good bowler for Delhi Capitals for in the last season, and even in this season he bowled really well in the IPL. But I think Arshdeep Singh is a bowler who I am always high on players who are on like good form. Good form is definitely a big high for me. So definitely I would prefer to see somebody like a Deepak Huda get more opportunities right now because he is in some good form and
Yeah.
also players like Arshdeep Singh. You have
I
to
mean,
capitalize on their form.
I would really love to see Deepak Huda in the team. In some way or the other, if it is to take the big
But
man
whom
off,
are you dropping?
let it be. I mean, if it is to take the big man off, if it is to take the crown from the king, you have to do it. And you know
No, no,
who am I?
I would still back Kohli to play, given that he wants to play. I
I mean, he
mean,
wants to play, and I mean, we'll give him time. Asia Cup is going to be a huge, huge series for him, and you
yeah.
want him, man. You saw that in the big moments against Pakistan in the World Cup in Australia. You need him, and I think he's saving the runs for the World Cup. I
I
just
mean,
have
not
to.
just World Cup. If you talk, even if you talk about the T20 World Cup, the 2014 World Cup or the 2016 World Cup, where India 2014 they reached the finals.
Yeah,
2016 they were knocked out by West Indies in the semi-finals.
I mean, there was no doubt
Kohli
on
was
Virat Kohli, the player
spectacular.
at 2014, 2016. But then, somewhere I feel, Sandipani, when we talk about Virat Kohli, I mean, again, we're going back to Virat Kohli. I don't know. It's been the debate. It's been the biggest national issue in India right now.
Yeah,
When is Virat Kohli going to score runs for Team India? And it's been concerning every fan, right? You are a fan. I am a fan. We all Indians are huge fans of Virat Kohli, and we
definitely.
want him
Yeah,
to do well. India sleeps happy when Virat Kohli does well. There is no doubt about it. That it's been the case with Tendulkar. It's been the case with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. It's been the case with Virat Kohli because these are generational talent, and and one thing about Virat Kohli is that the more you talk about him, the more you feel about him. Also, Twitter has been going against him. Twitter has been just going hell for leather. For Virat Kohli, the batter, he's been under all the scan, under all the criticism since that press conference what he made, and maybe even before that. And of course, right now at this very point and stage of his career, uh, or whatever he has achieved, it's been all gone to the ruins because of this current slump of form. But nobody even rates him as a batter at this very point. That's been the sad state of affairs. I hope I've seen it with all the sporting personalities whoever I followed. I've followed the likes of Sachin Tendulkar. I'm just giving you cricket and
yeah.
obviously
Even
football.
Sachin Tendulkar
I've
in
seen
his
it with
later
Michael Jordan.
stages.
I've seen it with Schumacher. I've seen it with some of the greatest players. There's always a
Roger
second.
Federer, if you talk
Roger
about Roger
Federer.
Federer in the
I
recent
have talked
times,
about
yeah.
Roger Federer. I have to talk about with the likes of
We have our own prodigy in the form of Vishwanathan Anand in chess.
Vishwanathan Anand,
Yeah.
likes of Nguyen Lang. These people always finds a way out. I mean, let it be. Let it be. You can write them off. You want to just feel that okay, they're not going to have another season. This is it. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Sachin
I mean, we
Tendulkar.
would not have.
You would
We
always
are
write them
discussing
off.
over Kohli for a long time because
Yeah,
the way Kohli has been starting the innings, he
yeah,
looks to
yeah.
be in good form,
Absolutely,
but he has been
absolutely.
getting out. Yeah,
The,
that is the concern.
and we have got a fan talking about Babar Azam. The gesture from Babar Azam was very nice. But I have to
Yeah,
also relate to
definitely.
this.
If you talk about, if you ask me, I think right now, with the current form that Babar Azam is in, he is definitely better than Kohli in terms of form,
Absolutely, there's
better
no
than
doubt.
Steven
I
Smith in
think
terms
he's
of
the
form.
world's best batsman right now,
Yeah.
without
I think
even
the
an
only
iota of
competition that
doubt
he
right
has
now.
right now is Joe Root, because Joe Root
Yeah,
has been piling some good runs with in the
yeah.
red ball cricket.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
Other
Absolutely.
than
I
that, I
mean,
think Babar
the
Azam
Fab
has been doing
Four has
great.
absolutely come down except Joe Root.
Yeah.
Kane Williams is going through one of his worst phases in his career.
Yeah, well,
Virat
Root had
Kohli is
a
going through.
horrible ODI series. I mean, we are
Yeah.
counting Root for only
I mean,
the
what about
test.
Johnny
Yeah,
Bairstow then? Johnny Bairstow has been having a very poor white ball series since the start of 2021. Though he's been really good in test matches, but it's never been able to convert it into the white ball series as well.
yeah,
But let's talk about this here, right? The Fab Four, who has really come down, who we always used to praise: Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli, Steve Smith. They used to wake up from sleep and score centuries for fun. But right now, it's been a halt. Oh, Steve Smith came back to
yes.
scoring that century in the last
A
test match
much
as
needed
well, but then
century, a much
finally,
needed
the
century
curse of
from
the
Steven Smith.
27th
Yeah,
was broken. The
yeah.
27th is what everybody's stuck on. The curse was finally broken for Steve Smith, and you hope that Virat Kohli also breaks the curse. Maybe in
So now we
Bangladesh.
have Root and Steven Smith on 28 and Kohli on 27. So yeah, they
Yeah,
have
and
overtaken.
one would like to say that cycle would start from Bangladesh, come to end in Bangladesh. India are touring Bangladesh in, if I'm not wrong, in December, November. If you remember the 100th century of Tendulkar, right? We all waited for it. It came in Bangladesh. The
Yeah,
Mirpur and India has had always a great connection. So India will be playing the test match in Mirpur, and you would hope that Virat Kohli scores that 100. The the one which started the slum which started against Bangladesh, ends in Bangladesh
and
as well. So
I
you
would
hope
want it to end before Bangladesh. I would
you
not
really
want
want
it
it.
to
But I don't
go
see any
until
more
Bangladesh.
matches where he can score century. Maybe he'll score those 70s and 60s. But when it comes to hundreds, how many ODI matches do we even have? I think it's going to be all T20 matches, and him
We
scoring
have three
100.
ODIs. I think Kohli is not playing West Indies, so I want to see Kohli play the Zimbabwe series. So we have three ODIs over there.
I don't think Kohli will play the Zimbabwe series. But other than that, I might not be wrong in saying he might, end that 100 drought in Bangladesh. But before that, you want him back in complete form, scoring the 60s, 70s,
No, we
80s.
also have
And
three ODIs against New Zealand right after the World Cup, T20 World Cup. We have three ODIs against New Zealand.
I mean, after T20 World Cup, you often see a low string team going to play the opposition. That's been the case with Indian cricket, at least in the world cricket. So I don't expect any of the seniors to play the
I
New
don't
Zealand
think
season.
Kohli is going to get that break after the World Cup, because right after the T20 World
It
Cup
all
is finished,
depends.
I
If
think.
India has, if India goes on to win the World Cup, I think all the seniors will get a break.
Yeah,
But if India doesn't,
yeah.
seniors, there'll be some big calls which will be taken, some big
Anyway, you
announcements
have
which
to
will be done.
focus on the next thing, which is the 2023 World Cup, and that is going
Yeah,
to be played at home. So a
yeah,
lot of expectations, and you have to
absolutely.
get that team ready, because India over the last 2 3 years haven't played too many ODIs.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we have been playing predominantly, we have been playing T20Is and test matches, but there has not been a lot of ODIs in the last two
I
three
mean,
years.
there's no. I mean, that's been the issue as well because with the COVID,
Yeah,
in the current scenario, the number of ODM matches had to be cut short to a very minimal number. But and also with two T20 World Cups in 2 continuous years, the number of T20 games have increased to a scary number. I think almost every series has got five T20Is or at least three T20Is to start off with. So I mean, these are the FTP schedule as well. Now, I think in the coming years, you have a 2023 World Cup, your 2024, you have a T20 World Cup, 2025 Champions Trophy in Pakistan.
yeah,
2026, I don't know what is there. I think it's another T20 World Cup, if I'm not wrong. 2027, you have the ODI World Cup. So it's going to be all, every year, you're going to have an IC trophy, and in between that, you have World Test Championship as well. So,
yeah.
as a cricket fan, and at some stage, you're going to feel like you're going to be bored of all these action, and these tournaments are
You
not
are
going to be
never
so
bored of
relevant.
cricket.
I mean, I'm talking about the relevancy of these trophies. You're gonna be like, okay, the importance what you get, what these trophies get in a football World Cup. Every 4 year you get a World Cup, and there is this anticipation for this football World Cup. Every 4 year it comes, and as a fan, you're
I mean, it will
anticipating,
continues
looking
to
forward to
stay
it.
relevant as long as India are winning it. For
Yeah,
Indians, I mean, it's
and
going
you
to be
really
relevant
hope
as long as India keeps
India,
winning it.
India absolutely has a clean sweep in all these next 5 years, wins 5 out of 5 ICC trophies,
I
and
mean, I
by
just want the
then,
better team to win, because India have looked really strong. If you talk about
yeah,
the unit, they have
yeah.
looked a very strong team. I think on par with some. I think England, India, Australia, and Pakistan. These are the four teams that have been the front runners. You might say New Zealand, but I think New Zealand
I
are
would
just
I would bring
below
a
the.
wild
Yeah.
card over here as well. In 50 over cricket, maybe a wild card with the likes of, not in 50 over, in T20 cricket at least. Maybe West Indies for the T20 World Cup. I know it's
But
way
I
too
don't
early
think
in
they
the
have
talk.
the strength. The West Indies
Maybe they
bowling, I
don't,
think,
but
yeah.
and Afghanistan. Let's not write them off again. Afghanistan in Asian
Yeah,
conditions, um, with Rashid Khan Mujib and Zakir, with
a
what's his,
powerhouse.
yeah, but there's another left arm spinner, wasn't there? What's his name? I'm not getting his name. He was part of the Gujarat
Noor,
Titans as well. The under 19 World Cup
yeah, yeah, yeah.
spinner,
Noor,
the
Noor
left arm
Ahmed or
spinner.
some.
Noor
Yeah,
Ahmed, yeah,
Noor.
Noor Ahmed.
Yeah.
With Noor Ahmed as well, they're going to be a powerhouse to deal with, and Zadran, they've got Shehzad. They're going to be a strong, strong team to beat, and Nabi is also going to be there.
Rashid, Mujib, Nabi. I think these three players hold the key
I mean,
for
absolutely.
Afghanistan over the year.
Afghanistan are going to be a good team to reckon with. I mean, last World Cup in UAE, they went in with a lot of expectation. That's why they couldn't really perform. But they played some really good matches. I think one of the matches they played in
They
Scotland, one
came
match against
really close to
Pakistan.
beating India. They came
They
scarily
came very.
close to
No,
beating
not
India.
not India. That was in 2019 World Cup. In T20 World
Yeah,
Cup,
I'm talking about the 2019 World Cup.
or 2019 World Cup, yeah, that was close. Mohammad Shami's a hat
Yeah,
trick.
in the
We need
T20
to
World
forget
Cup, I
that.
think they have had wins against West Indies. The year West Indies won,
Yeah,
2016, I think
yeah.
they won against West Indies. The only game that West Indies lost that year was against Afghanistan, I guess, if I
I
am not
think
wrong.
yeah, it's going to be interesting times for world cricket. Ireland is one team I'm very excited about. One team which I am very excited in T20 World Cup is UAE. Ritya Anand has been in some crazy form. We wish him very best. Um, this
See, the
company in
problem with
UAE, we
the
have got.
associate nations is that they don't get the exposure or the experience of playing with the big guns.
I'm very
I think,
excited about UAE, to be
yeah.
very honest, because UAE
And
finally,
I'm loving the
clean
concept
carpet.
that teams like Ireland, some of the second division, we might as well call Ireland a second division team. I mean, they
Yeah,
are still
yeah,
within the top 15 teams, but
yeah,
when you compare to, they are getting games against India, against
yeah,
New Zealand, some of the
yeah.
good powerhouses of cricket. I mean, that is a good sign for cricket. That is a good sign for, like, for all the associate nations if they
Absolutely.
get to
And
play
I'm
these.
really
Yeah,
confident that these associate nations will come good. And I hope the 50 over World Cup, the number of teams really increase. And I like the World Cup T20 schedule because it has brought in a lot of associate nations with the qualifying round as well.
yeah.
And I hope a country like UAE makes it. I'm a huge fan, being part of the system in UAE cricket as well. There's always a soft corner for UAE, and likes of Chirag Suri, Rityan, just
Chirag Shuri is a
he,
veteran cricketer right now for UAE. I
I
think
mean,
the
just
most
25
experienced.
years and he's already calling him a veteran. He
Yeah, yeah,
must
yeah,
be very old.
definitely.
Chirag Suri is, yeah, he's a wonderful batter to watch. I watched
Yeah.
him, played against him also in my younger days. So there's something about Chirag Suri, just love watching him play. And Ritya Anand just one hell of a talent. I'm watch out for the UAE team in the T20 World Cup as well. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about them. I'm really hoping that they make it big. Absolutely. I mean, with that, I think we have now no more topics to cover. We have almost covered everything in the world right now in cricket, all the actions, and we are heading late
I
into the
think,
night.
just to sum it up, I think it was a big win for Sri Lanka against Australia because Australia were dominating the WTC points table. I
Yeah,
think they are still at top,
yeah.
even with that loss. But I think the gap has been reduced by a
I
good
I
margin.
think Sri Lanka is slowly creeping up for the number two spot as well. So very interesting times ahead in the
Yeah,
World
it's
Test
going to be a
Championship, and
scramble for this
rightly
first two
mentioned by
spots.
Teju, South Africa and New Zealand, two dark horses. I think South Africa right up there. We did discuss earlier on
I
in
won't
the
call New
podcast
Zealand
as
a
well.
dark horse because New
I
Zealand
don't call
still
them
have
dark
some
horse
of the
because every time they're the
most
dark horse
accomplished
and they
players.
go on to play finals, they're certainly now favorites now. Let's not
Yeah,
put that tag on to them ever again. But South Africa, they're not dark horses. They're
yeah.
going to be one of the strong contenders for the T20 World Cup with the kind of pace attack they've got, with the kind of variety in batting they've got, with Aiden Markram, with the likes of Rassi van der Dussen, Quinton de Kock up
Especially
top.
because
I
of the
think they're going to,
form that they have. David Miller, Aiden Markram, Van der
yeah,
Dussen, the form that they are getting, Quinton de Kock, the form that they're bringing to the side. I mean, they have been playing a lot of domestic cricket all
yeah,
across the world. And I think they have been in good touch. And there have, as I said, we have seen some of the revivals of some of the more accomplished middle order batsmen who were sort of on the decline over the last 2 3 years. Somebody like a
yeah,
Dinesh Chandimal,
yeah,
Kushal Mendes, a
yeah,
David Miller, a Hardik
yeah,
Pandya. It's very good to
yeah,
see, and I hope that continues. Even we might as well add Johnny Bairstow because he did not have the best of IPLs.
yeah.
Coming back to the England
He's not
side,
had
and
very good white ball cricket, but I like the redemption or the rise of these wicket keeping batters across the world. Johnny Bairstow, Dinesh Chandimal, Rishabh Pant, who's been in phenomenal touch. So wicket keeping batsmen have come relevant and
Mohammad
they've
Rizwan,
really Mohammad
Mohammad
Rizwan.
Rizwan in
So
T20s. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely, Mohammad Rizwan is is one of my favorite players as well. So a lot of things to talk about in cricket. I mean, we'll be back tomorrow again for an interesting debate. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel right now, and play the fantasy contest with Boomer 11, because there's some exciting cricketing action across the world which will be taking place in the next 1 week as well. India will be touring West Indies the next week, so the cricket never stops. The buck never stops here as well, and we'll be here every day almost now. We're a little busy with the exams and slightly with some technical lags as well here and there. So now we are back, and we're going to be covering almost every day throughout this year. So thank you all for joining. It was wonderful taking your questions, and do subscribe to our channel and also click the bell icon. Also follow us on Instagram for all the latest sporting updates and fantasy predictions, and subscribe and follow us on Twitter as well. That's where we'll be doing spaces, Crazy Jones, and many others as well. Thank you, Sunny Money, for joining. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good night.